Hey everybody, welcome to chapter 1 of Harry Potter. We are going to be talking about kind of like a few of the big points in this chapter. This section is not meant for me to recap what's already happened. I expect you to have read it and completed the discussion questions and have an understanding of the chapter. My hope is to take you a little bit deeper. And so the first thing that I want to talk about are the Dursleys. They are constantly overstressed on how normal they really are. And it's interesting that she's doing that because she's already setting up a huge split between the Dursleys and Harry and his world and his parents. And she does that, and when she does that, it ends up setting up this confrontation between the two. Like, it's team A versus team B, and they'll never be on the same side. It's very telling for what's going to be happening throughout the rest of the book and even the series on how well Harry is treated. But by stressing how normal they are, she's really stressing how different everybody else is, and the people that we're going to be talking about. I know that this is a very slow chapter. Harry Potter is not even in it for most of it. Harry, the title character, is not in the chapter, the introduction chapter. And a lot of people have a really hard time with the fact that it is so slow. And it's interesting because a lot of authors nowadays, they want to get kids into the books immediately. They want to hook them. They want to find something that pulls them in to keep reading, because everybody knows if a book is boring, who's going to want to read it, right? And she really sets up something that's completely different from the rest of the book. It's really odd as to why she chose to start the book like this without Harry, with stuff that happened 10 years before the rest of the series. And while it's odd, I personally think it's sort of a smart move, because she's treating this chapter as a prologue simply being something that's happened before, but not for the book. Like, yes, it introduces some of the important characters that will be relevant in other chapters in this book, but more importantly, she is creating a prologue for this entire series, all 7 books, all 3,000 pages of Harry Potter. I think it's 3,000. Anyways, so it's weird that I feel like she's doing like a big risk, big reward type deal. She's doing something that's literally going to set up the rest of the 7 books. But she's also risking that kids aren't going to get through that first chapter to at least enjoy that first book and into it. So I just kind of wanted to, throw that thought out there. It is very slow. Ultimately, if you do decide to read all of the books, I will make the argument that this is one of the most important chapters in all the books. Excuse me. I definitely give it top 10 as one of the most important chapters. So read it. Bear that in mind, that you're not necessarily going to understand everything that is happening, because she's going to build on it later in this book and in other books as well. The final thing that I wanted to talk about were the characters of Dumbledore, McGonagall, and Hagrid. And once again, it kind of goes back to the point that I made in the beginning of this, is how normal the Dursleys appear and how unnormal the 3 of them actually are. I mean, Dumbledore's description even says nothing like him has ever been seen before on Privet Drive. McGonagall can turn herself into a cat and into a human, and Hagrid is probably 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet tall, and just, a huge man that comes in on a flying motorcycle. So she's really setting up this very interesting split between the normal world, the Muggle world, something that we'll learn is a word, and the wizarding world. And by doing so, she is trying to set the reader up. Okay, well, all of these people are way more interesting than what's going on. I want to turn into a cat. Actually, I'd want to turn into a dog, but you know, neither here nor there. I want to be able to appear out of nowhere, take out away all the lights. I want to be 8 feet tall and be a big, you know, big scary guy. I don't want to be the Dursleys. Who cares about soap operas? Who cares about working for drills? That's boring. The normal world is boring. Let's get into this magical world. Thing is, you've got to wait a couple more chapters to get into it. So, thoughts, comments, feel free to leave them below. Send me messages. I encourage your feedback. This is the part of the reading process that I always like to do the most and that we are missing by trying to do this asynchronously. So I'm going to make sure I leave a link that you can leave your thoughts there. I want to hear your thoughts. The password for the assessment that you will need to take after this is Dursley, capital D-U-R-S-L-E-Y. Looking forward to sharing this book with you and having conversations about it with you. And like I said, I want you to go on. I want you to leave some comments, challenge me on my thinking. If you don't agree with me, challenge me on it. Let's have a conversation. Until chapter 2.